হ্যাঁ বলো বলো, শুনতে পাচ্ছ আমার গলা? গাড়িতে? হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ। ও লাইভ, আচ্ছা অলরেডি লাইভে আছি, আচ্ছা আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে। আচ্ছা আমার গলা শোনা যাচ্ছে তো? আমার গলা শোনা যাচ্ছে? আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে। আচ্ছা আমি এইভাবেই বলবো তাহলে, এই এই এতে এই রেঞ্জেই বলবো। হুম।
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম, শোনা যাচ্ছে। শোনা যাচ্ছে।
করছে কেন জানি না, আমারটাতে হয়নি, আমার তো কিছু অন নেই। এই ইয়ে নেই কেন? নেট না, আমি তো ফোনের মোবাইলে দিয়েছি, কিন্তু ফোনের মোবাইলই চলবে তো, কিন্তু আমার কাছে সেটআপ কি
Hello, Kamalika madam, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, madam. I can hear you.
Okay. So we will start the
But
session,
echo
no?
হচ্ছে, আবার echo হচ্ছে। Madam, there is severe echo going on. I am ready to start.
So why is it happening? Okay, Paul's laptop is nearby me. That is why.
I opened on laptop. Will I open on mobile?
তোমার ইউটিউব টা কানেক্টেড, সিস্টেমের সাউন্ডটা অফ হচ্ছে তো?
আমি ইউটিউব চালাইনি, আমি শুধু গুগল মিট চালিয়েছি। প্রচন্ড সাউন্ড আসছে।
Hello, hello,
Yes sir, good morning.
hello. Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Yes, yes sir, good morning. Welcome to the day faculty development program on research and technical challenges in energy and power systems. I request our faculty member, Ms. Kamalika Banerjee, to give a short profile of yours to the participants. A very good morning to all the participants as well for joining us here. And as our invitee, Mr. Shankar Mukhopadhyay is also there with us.
ওটা খুলে দেবো। হ্যাঁ, ঠিক। এটা ব্যাক করবো কি করে?
Madam, there is
Yes,
serious sound coming. What will I do now?
দেখি।
you can introduce
Serious
Mr.
sound coming.
ঠিক আছে। শোনা যাচ্ছে কিনা খালি দেখো।
A very good morning. Can I start now, madam? The sound has gone.
Yes, because Paul's laptop was in my room. He kept the laptop in my room. That is the echo was coming. So I just kept it away. You just introduce Mr. Babu to the participants.
Yes, madam. A very good morning to all the participants. Today, we are on the third day of online faculty development program on research and technical challenges in energy and power system. We are privileged to have renowned industry expert, Deputy General Manager CESC, Mr. Rajiv Dash, with us as guest speaker for the program. Mr. Dash has graduated from Bengal Engineering College, Shibpur, and he has been working in CESC for more than 3 decades. His work experience cover various phases like planning of electricity distribution network, consultancy job in technical areas that include reform activities of distribution utilities in Indian states as well as abroad in association with global professional service companies. Mr. Dash has also experienced in managing regulatory affairs like tariff petition and defending cases related to orders of regulators. His work also include project execution monitoring, managing capital expenditure, and imparting training to distribution sectors, both India and abroad. With these few words, I would like to invite Sir to share his talk with us for the session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Microphone. Hello. On. Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Mukhopadhyay is also with us.
Hello.
Good morning to Mr. Mukhopadhyay also.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Now
Good morning, sir.
I shall talk about power sector reforms in India. Now, yeah. You see, in India, in India, electricity business started by CESC in 1899. During that time, as such, there was no act to govern this business. The act at that time prevailing was only to cater to safety aspects. Just hello. পরে কথা বলছি। Now, then 1910, Indian Electricity Act came. That time, it was thought that electricity sector will grow through private licenses, private hand. Following that, there was many private licenses operating in India, and electricity supply was confined only within major cities like Kolkata, Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, etc., etc. In 1948, following independence, we saw the total capacity in country was only 1500 megawatt. And electricity supply not happened outside these major cities. So government thought that this sector should be taken into hand. Then Parliament enacted 1948 Electricity Supply Act. Under the act, ACVs were formed. Then almost all states, they formed state electricity boards. Only in case of small states in Northeast, in Union territories, and some other small states, so they operated through the government department, PWD or any other department. But elsewhere, ACVs were formed. Now, ACVs did a good job, but their financial condition was not good from the very beginning. In mid-70s, then government formed NTPC and NHPC. And by that, central government came into this business. In early 90s, 1991, then again some amendment was made in the act to allow private sector participation in generation through IPPs, independent power producer. All these were happening during that time. Reforms, we have seen reforms in outside world as well. In outside world, the government started to distance themselves from this business. And thus, in 1998, Regulatory Commissions Act came into the Parliament. By this act, Central Electricity Regulatory Commission (CERC) and State Electricity Regulatory Commissions were formed. Now, following that act, by that time, I mean till that time, 1910 Act, 1948 Act, and 1998 Act all were prevailing. Then government or parliament thought to amalgamate all these acts and frame this 2003 Electricity Act. Through this act, the formation of State Electricity Regulatory Commission was made mandatory. And thereafter, all states formed State Electricity Regulatory Commission. Here in West Bengal, we have West Bengal Electricity Regulatory Commission. By this act, the generation sector was liberalized. Anybody can set up a generating station and he is free to sell electricity to anybody. Only in case of a generating station supplying electricity to a distribution licensee under long-term agreement is regulated by the respective regulatory commission. Otherwise, it is free business. Then there was focus to bring in competition in this business. There was focus to address the power threat. That is the main problem in electricity sector, major problem. Then progressive tariff rationalization. I mean, tariff should be, there should not be any cross subsidy. Tariff should be towards cost of supply. All these things were in mind. Then consumer protection. Consumers should be, their interests should be protected. Then the following things like metering made compulsory. I mean, after some time, 1 year or so, there should not be any supply without meter. Then trading was recognized. Trading means buying and selling. I mean, the party may not have a generation, but he can buy from others and he can sell it. And for that, he requires a license. Then market development on power exchange. Power exchange had been formed in our country. There are two power exchanges, IEX and PXI. And power is marketed. And now, Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, they regulate the business when there is involvement of more than one state. Like the generating station of NTPC is selling electricity to more than one state. So Farakka, they sell it to West Bengal, Jharkhand, Bihar, Odisha, So Farakka plant is regulated by CERC. Similarly, in case a transmission line crosses one state, then there is more than one state involvement. So it is looked after or regulated by Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. Similarly, in case of trading, if someone buys electricity in one state and sell it to other state, then there is involvement of more than one state, so it is under purview of Central Commission. Now, in case the business is confined wholly within a state, then it is regulated by the State Electricity Regulatory Commission. Distribution is always within a state and it is looked after State Commission. Assembly House, and for CERC or CA regulations, these are tabled at Parliament. Now it is just laid for a month or so. Thereafter, if there is any comment from the lawmakers' house, they again revisit it and again circulate it, again post it or place it at lawmakers' house. And if they don't receive any comment or observation from them, then they consider it final and they put it in Gazette, and thereafter it is considered final. And since it is coming via lawmakers' house, so it is considered as subordinate law. It is considered as subordinate law. Now, violation of provision of any part of regulations is violation of law. Now, regulations. I am giving example of some of the regulations framed by West Bengal Electricity Regulatory Commission. One is licensing and conditions of license. So it covers how to get license to do the business for the distribution or transmission. What is the procedure? And if someone gets license, what are the do's, what are the don'ts, for what he should take prior approval, for what he should intimate afterwards. All these things are written there. Then the most important regulation is terms and conditions of tariff. There it is written, it is guided clearly how tariff will be determined. Whether tariff for a generating company for supply to a distribution company under long-term agreement, whether for a transmission company for billing it to distribution company, whether for a distribution company to its retail or various consumers, domestic, commercial, industrial, whatever. What should be the tariff, how the tariff should be determined, what are the processes, what are the data to be submitted, and what is the formula, how commission will calculate it, everything is written. How we shall file a petition, for determination of tariff, how commission will deal it, how consumers can put their observations, views, comments against or for it. Thereafter, how commission will make it final. So everything is written in these terms and conditions of tariff. So it is a transparent process. Then supply code, how we should bill, how we should take a meter reading. We cannot take meter reading on our own. So in case of monthly meter reading, we have to take meter reading from 28 days to 32 days from previous month. We cannot take it before that or beyond that. Same thing for 3-month meter reading, what is there for WBSCDCL, and what is to be written on the bills, how the consumers can pay for the bill. Everything is written there in supply code. Then SOP, standards of performance of licensees, how a consumer can apply for new connection. Then what is the timeline that we should give the supply. Then in case of outages, maybe due to cable fault or snapping of wires or distribution transformer failure or meter defective, meter burn, whatever. What is the timeline for rectification and timeline for restoration of supply? Everything written. If not done, what is the next step to be taken, etc., etc. Then all other provisions, I mean, like open access, if a consumer having contract demand of 1 megawatt and above, he can source his power from other than distribution licensee. What is the procedure? Then grid code is there. Grid code is basically to plan and operate the transmission network. It also covers the schedule. Schedule means here that you see, for a distribution licensee, we need to give a schedule that this much would be our next day's demand and this much power we shall get from these sources. So this information we have to give day ahead. I mean, tomorrow's information we should prepare and pass it today itself. So the procedure, etc., everything written in grid code. And it also says it is not just the providing the schedule. Then what if we do not follow the schedule? Suppose we have told that we shall draw, say, 100 megawatt, but actually, because you see, load, we do not have any control on load, because consumers, they are free to put their load on our system. Now suppose the load is more than that, we are drawing 110 megawatt. Now we should pay for 10 megawatt. How we should pay? The procedure is there. It is called deviation settlement mechanism. So that mechanism is there. We have to pay according to that. Similarly, suppose the load is less than that we anticipated, say 90 megawatt. We are drawing instead of 100 megawatt. So we are drawing less. It must be so that somebody is drawing more, or generating station is generating less somewhere. So for drawing less than the schedule, we used to get compensated. Again, at what rate, etc., etc. There is a separate procedure. So everything is written in grid code. Then there is guideline for establishment of forum of redressal of grievances, and there is ombudsman as well. If somebody has grievance about supply, about bill, then he can refer this to the grievance redressal forum. And if he is not happy with the decision of the grievance redressal forum, he can go before ombudsman. Then other provision for, security deposit, a consumer has to maintain a security deposit for 3 months, and that provision is there. And what interest rate a consumer should get against his security deposit, it is also there. Then last but not the least is cogeneration and generation. One of the major thrust in the act is promotion of renewable sources. Then the provisions are stipulated in this regulation. What should be and what should we do to promote RE sources? It is also written clearly. There could be some other regulations. I am not going into detail. Now, before this slide, I should mention few things other, like, you see, the commissions, be it central commission or state commission, they operate like court. We call it, it's a quasi-judiciary system. It is not full-fledged judiciary system, but it operates a little bit like judiciary system. Say for determination of tariff of consumers. Now it's a procedure. We submit a petition with all details and data, tables, whatever is required as per provisions of regulation. Then commission put it in the website. Then anybody can challenge it. Anybody can put their comments, views, observations. Then thereafter, commission determine the tariff as per provision in the regulation. Following that, they issue order. We call it tariff order. There it is written what should be the tariff for various consumers, domestic, commercial, industrial, then again slab, then again high tension, various consumers, etc., etc. Now, if somebody is not happy with that order, then he can challenge it. Now, he can challenge it before High Court under writ petition. It is his right as per our constitution. But he can also challenge it, and he can file a petition against it before appellate tribunal for electricity. Generally, what happens, these things are mostly technical, and almost in all cases, maybe there could be some things otherwise, but generally what I have observed, most of the cases go to the appellate tribunal for electricity. Even often High Court also refers it towards appellate tribunal for electricity. Then in appellate tribunal for electricity, again hearing, there will be hearing, so agreed party, and so all can go before the court, appellate tribunal. Then again appellate tribunal, they put a judgment, and thereafter, if somebody again agreed, he can go to the Supreme Court. So that is the procedure to fight against order of regulatory commission. Now, coming back to the Electricity Act, I mean, what is the objective of all these things? You see, energy security is a very important matter to our country as well. Then power for all. You see, back in early, even in late 90s, you see there was many states where rural electrification was of the order of 60% or 70%. Now it is almost 100% everywhere. I mean, village electrification, but maybe that household electrification still yet to be completed 100%, but we are moving towards it. So objective is power for all. Then there is customer focus. Earlier, consumers, they didn't know about the tariff. Now, if a consumer is interested in knowing the determination of tariff, the procedure, so he can do it. In fact, in tariff determination process by the regulatory commission, what I have seen, the associations, major industries, they generally participate in it because they have major stake in it. And also I mentioned about SOP, standard of performance. Now if supply is not given, I mean for a intending consumer within a stipulated date, so he can claim compensation against it. And in fact, it is happening in cases. If supply is not restored in case of outage within time, say 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever stipulated, so he can challenge it. And licensees are maintaining all records. Here I should also mention that barring in case of, say, extreme disturbances like what I have seen, Amphan, etc., that is beyond control, it is like act of God. So that is not within the purview of the Act. So there are then there is 24/7 supply. It is a focus. Then our duty as per the law is to maintain and develop an efficient and economic network. It should be efficient. There should be 24/7 supply, then power quality. We should adhere to power quality. At the same time, we should not invest in such a manner in the network so it becomes uneconomic. I mean, tariff in that event, tariff will rise. Now, you see, people are becoming aware about power quality. Earlier, we used to see low voltages in many areas. In fact, I have my own experience. In the year 2000, I was working in Rajasthan. There was a project, World Bank project in Rajasthan for their own power sector development. So I visited almost all districts of Rajasthan, and I have seen in areas that stationary shop selling bulbs of 110 volt, and they're mentioning that यहाँ कम वर्क में जलने वाले बाती मिलता है. I mean, the condition was such that even, I mean, 110 volt is sufficient there. 110 volt is proper for the lights. But now that situation is not prevailing anywhere, even in rural area. The voltage condition is not that horrible. Then another objective is energy efficiency. We have seen many changes. We have experienced it. Now we don't see incandescent bulbs. Now CFL, then thereafter LEDs only we see in the shops. Then I said that renewable energy, it is one of the main thrust. Then we are moving towards smart grid. It is not a buzzword. So it is coming, it is happening, it will happen. And overall objective is make in India, whatever we do, we shall do it in India. We try to make things as much as possible in India. Now, what developments we have seen in last 15 or you see, I mentioned that power market. Now traders are there. Now IEX and PXI for dealing with power markets is there. What they do, you see, there are the power is marketed there under various options. One is day ahead market. I mean, I can sell it tomorrow, or I can buy it tomorrow. That is day ahead market. For that, I need to quote that this is my power available. I want to sell it at such and such price. Similarly, I need this much power. I want to buy it at this and this price. That is day ahead market. And there is a real-time market. Now it started only in 1st of June, 1 month just gone. It's the same day. I can, if I have power, I can sell it. Same day, within say 2 hours time, I can sell it or I can buy it depending on my requirement. And market is there. There are other provisions as well in the market. Now, many utilities, including CSC, they buy a large amount of power from the market. Hello. Wrong number. Now, distribution franchising. Any distribution licensee can engage a franchisee, a party, to operate in its area with a portion under various terms and conditions. That provision is there. Now many franchisees are in operation. CSC is also operating. We are operating in Rajasthan. Now we are also in Maharashtra. Then there are other parties, they are operating as franchisee. Now, in last 15 years, the generation capacity, large amount of capacity has been added to entire nation. Now we don't see any shortage of supply. Transmission network, be it power grid network or any state network, it is now it is a robust transmission network. You can almost there is no shortage in transmitting power from one area to another. Then, as I said, there is deviation settlement mechanism. We need to give its day-ahead schedule and we need to follow it. If we do not follow it, then there is a provision for, paying or getting paid back. So it is like a disciplinary mechanism, and by this DSM, the grid has become stable. Now we don't see frequency variation. Our entire country is operating as one grid. Total peak demand is of the order of 160,000 megawatt or 170,000 megawatt. All generating stations, all transmission distribution are connected and run in synchronism. So discipline is a major requirement, and it has been happened through this DSM, deviation settlement mechanism. Now, of course, we have seen tremendous growth in RE capacity as well in last 15 years. Now, see the table, the total generation capacity is more than threefold in last 15-16 years, from 112,000 megawatt to 370,000 megawatt. In the year 2000, this is the record from Central Electricity Authority. In the year 2004, we have seen a supply deficit, energy supply from the generating stations and the load. The deficit is 7%. Energy peak deficit was much higher. And now we don't see any deficit, only 0.4%. Then another major pain area is distribution loss. It was 34%. Now it is 20%, but we are not happy with that. 20% is not sustainable for doing distribution business. Then RE capacity, renewable source energy sources capacity, it has, growth is more than 50 times from 1.87 megawatt, 1870 megawatt, 1.87 gigawatt, that means 1870 megawatt to 86,760 gigawatt. So tremendous growth is there. Here I would like to mention one thing, that distribution loss is the single most important point so far as the business point of view, because regulator, they don't allow high loss. You see, if the loss they allow high, then there will be pressure on retail tariff. Consumers rate will be higher. So they don't allow higher loss. And if loss of it is more than that allowed by the regulatory commission, so there will be loss in business, not loss in terms of energy, but loss in terms of money. So it is the single most important point for doing or maintaining the business. Now, recently, during this lockdown period, Power Department circulated some amendments, some again to move forward. One is they intend to allow more private parties in distribution. Most of the distribution in our country, economic reasons, due to some other reasons, agriculture, they cannot pay, etc., etc. There are other utilities. So, but commission will determine at cost if government thinks that they should not pay at a lower rate, and the subsidy should be given by the government. Now the subsidy is given to the distribution company after considering the total sale to these subsidized consumers, in case government gives a subsidy. Now this proposed amendment says that the subsidy should be given directly to the subsidized consumer. Suppose commission has determined the rate for a particular consumer is 5 rupee, but government thought he should give 2 rupee per kWh. So difference is 3 rupee, and if any month, if he consumes 100 kWh unit, so he should get subsidy of 300 rupee, and that he should pay at 5 rupee, and he should get 300 rupee directly from the government, and government should transfer this amount to his account directly. So same thing what we see in gas distribution or cooking gas. And this amendment also proposes to promote further this green power, I mean more stringent on the distribution companies to for the RE, rural electrification. Now on this RE, because there is some commitment for the government towards international community for environment protection, and the target in 2020, as we see now, the wind is 37.7 gigawatt, solar is 34.4 gigawatt, biomass is 9.9 gigawatt, small hydro is 4.7 gigawatt, and government target by 2022, I mean about 2 years now, 60 gigawatt, though it may or may not happen, but the target is 60 gigawatt. Then solar target is 100 gigawatt. Biomass, we have already achieved 10 gigawatt. Small hydro, almost we have achieved 5 gigawatt. And then the same target is for 2030 is 450, from 175 gigawatt to 450. So that we will procure a large portion, maybe 30 or 35% of our total requirement from RE sources. And that is a commitment to the international community. So to achieve this, so distribution companies has to be involved, and there has to be stringent measures. Those measures are being taken in the amendment. Now, what we have seen, we call it vertical structure. Generation, it goes to transmission, then it goes to distribution, then it goes to consumer. Power flow is almost unidirectional, one direction power flow. What we'll see in future, almost we are experiencing a little bit. Now we see there are solar PV plants connected at various voltages, be it 30 kV, 6 kV, 11 kV, 400 volt, whatever. Now this would be the future power system. Now various kinds of sources, solar, wind, then storage, various, these will be connected to at any point of connection. Power transform at 30 kV, 132 kV or 400 kV or 400 volts, whatever. And power can flow in both direction. So we have to adopt new technologies. So grid automation, many distribution companies, they are experimenting on it. CSC is also experimenting. There are automation in few areas, like say important installations like hospitals, pumping stations, many important establishments, there is automation. I mean, if supply is off from one side, automatically in seconds, supply will be restored from other end. Then renewable source integration in CSC area, more than 30 megawatt solar PV plants integrated into the distribution system at various voltages. Then storage, various kinds of storage is expected. Various kinds of storage is expected. One is battery energy storage system. Some or one utility in our country, they have tried with it. In outside world, there are utilities who have tried with it. Then other storage system like supercapacitor and fuel cell is in laboratory experimental stage. Then thermal storage, it is happening. Then electric vehicle, though not much, but if we keep our eyes open, we'll see electric vehicle even in Kolkata. Then smart metering, you see till date what we see meter, it only records the energy consumption, demand, etc., etc., and it sends back to our, if it is a, I mean, AMR or smart meter AMR, then it sends back in a smart, if it sends back to our server. Otherwise, our people go and take the meter reading. But with smart meter reading, we can take the reading from our office, and also we can instruct at that point of supply through the smart meter. I mean, communication will be in both sides, I mean, both direction. Then there could be demand response program. I mean, willing consumers, they can work with the distribution company. There can be an agreement to reduce their load when the distribution company demands. Then there could be time of use tariff. Now we see time of day tariff. I mean, time slabs are fixed. If the consumption is during peak period, rate is little bit higher. If it is during night period, rate is lower. It is not like that. The time of use is little different. You see, it is like online, I mean, real-time tariff. So depending on demand and supply gap, tariff will change. Then there is a scope of, big scope already happening, application of IoT, AI, big data, and blockchain in this power system network. Thanks, I think I am over.
Thank you, Mr. Das. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir, I'll talk after some time. Yes,
Hello,
please.
Mr. Das.
Yes.
It had been a very interesting and informative session, and there are some questions posted in the chat box of YouTube. So I request Kamalika madam to
Yes, madam.
send the questions.
Madam, I got
Yes.
one question. what are the power quality guidelines to be maintained for connecting smart grid with utility?
Yeah,
I
should I answer?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
You see, it is not only for smart grid. In general, power quality till date guideline, we see the voltage regulation. I mean, at various voltage levels, say plus minus 6% or plus minus 9%, at various, say at low voltage, I mean 400 volt, it is so. So for more than that, I mean 6 kV or 11 kV, it is that 132 kV, then 220 kV, then 400 kV. This is one guideline, I mean, for power quality. Then next is maintaining reactive power. I mean, there is power factor penalty as well as incentive. If somebody maintains good power factor, so he will get incentive. If he cannot, I mean, if his power factor below threshold level, then there will be penalty on it. This is number two. Then number three is the on harmonics. On harmonics as such, there is no stipulation on there is no stipulation so far as state commissions are concerned. Only in case of one state, as I know, if I remember it correctly, only Tamil Nadu, they have put restrictions and penalty as well on harmonics for consumers connected at 33 kV and above, but not below. So, and beyond that, there is no regulation on harmonic, though in various, say, like RE integration, etc., they say that harmonic should be contained within, say, IEEE 519 uh, prescriptions. But what happens, you see, the meters are not capable of measuring the harmonics. What we need to do, we often go to the site and measure the harmonics. And even if we see harmonics, we tell the consumer, so often it is beyond their control to reduce the harmonic content. I can clearly say, particularly for, say, metro railway, a traction load, any traction load, you see there is high harmonic content, but there is no yet. I mean, you can't control it. There is no guideline. We cannot put a penalty or we cannot disconnect, whatever, etc.
There's another question, Monica madam.
Yeah.
Yes, madam. Is there any
Uh,
guidelines for power factor in household consumers?
No. For low tension, that power factor surcharge or penalty or incentive that I mentioned, I should have mentioned it is only for high tension consumers, not for low tension consumers. No, neither domestic, commercial, industrial, whatever, not for low tension. I mean 400 volt to 30 volt consumers, there is no restriction, no guideline, no incentive, no penalty.
there's
Okay,
another
okay,
question.
sir. Yes,
Another
madam.
question, madam.
Is there any fixed or variable tariff from day to night of 24 hours running industry as load demand throughout the day is not constant?
Yes. There is TOD tariff, time of day tariff, and it is optional. I mean, in any industry, he can opt for TOD tariff. But I can say clearly, TOD tariff is only advantageous to a consumer only when he can shift his load to night, and he will draw minimum during evening hours. Say from 5 to 11, there is one time block. During that time block, rate is higher than the average. During daytime, from I think 9 to 5. So during daytime, rate is same as average, and during night time from 11 to morning, I mean next morning 8 a.m., it is much less than the average. So if he can shift his load, then he can opt for TOD tariff. He can apply to distribution company and he will get that industrial consumer, he will get that TOD tariff. But he should be sure that he is able to shift load during night time. Otherwise, his bill will be more than the average.
Okay, sir.
Another question.
Sir, Another question has come. How unscheduled interchange of power will be taken care of in smart grid with distributed generation?
With distributed generation.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, distributed generation till date, now we see the solar. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, uh, as at present, there is no control over such generation. In other states, there may be wind as well, but generally, the solar and wind are considered as must run power plant. Must run means whenever they are able to generate, they will generate. There will not be any restriction on that. So, and in case the intermittent generation, because these are intermittent, so there is no control over it. Whenever there is sun, they will generate. Whenever there is cloud, they will not generate. And balance will be on grid. I mean, at one point of time, they will draw more power, and another point they will not draw, or they will draw less. So these things will happen. As such, there is no guideline, no restriction as of now. But I understand in years to come, there will be some control. And recently, there is amendment to renewable regulation posted by the Regulatory Commission. And my view is that a distribution licensee should have control of on, I mean, say solar power plant of capacity, say 100 kilowatt or more. If somebody wants to put a solar plant of more than 100 kilowatt, distribution licensee should have control on it, so that in case of a large scale integration of solar power plant, so the impact on the distribution licensee is minimum. As of now, there is no control.
Okay, sir. Sir, no more questions right now. All we have taken from the chat box, madam.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Das. And as a token of appreciation, we would be sharing a screen. Please try to. I'm just sharing the screen. So. Mr. Das, is it visible to you? This is a token of appreciation on behalf of the Electrical Engineering Department of Narula Institute of Technology.
Thank you.
For your informative session. Is it visible, Mr. Das?
Thank you. Yes, visible.
Yes, we'll also send it in your email.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Das, and thank you to all the participants as well as to my organizing team. And I hope, Mr. Das, we would also get you in our future programs as well, if you find time for us. And tomorrow we'll meet again at 10 a.m. sharp. Sir, our controller of examination, Professor Omlan Chakraborty is with us. Sir, would you say a few words to Mr. Das?
Yes, it has been a pleasure to listen to Mr. Rajiv Das. In fact, I was also in industry, and several times interacted with CSC. I also participated in the Eastern Regional Electricity Board for their transmission SCADA project between 92 to 97. So I am acquainted with the power industry, and I really appreciate the knowledge and the experience of Mr. Rajiv Das. He has really shared very valuable knowledge. I have also learned something more from him, and uh, I am sure that in future we would also get enlightenments from Mr. Das in our journey in electrical engineering. Thank you, Mr. Das.
Thank you. I'm also delighted to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Mr. Das. So I'm closing the session. And to all the participants, we'll meet again tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.